everybody, welcome to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole and today we are here for a stitch with me and a little bit of book chat. So basically what happens every Monday is I do a stitch with me and I talk about the books that I have read in the last week. So there hasn't been as many this week, but today we are going to be working on a Jardin Prive's Lady Halloween. I'm doing this with Stitching by the Shore, and it was a stitch along that she is hosting, and also with Gail and a few other people that are joining in. So yeah, I'm going to put some stitches into this. It's Halloween still, so like we're still stitching all things Halloween for October. This week I only read 3 books. I am halfway through The Ring, and I also am reading a non-fiction one for our bingo prompt. Now, for those that are wondering what our bingo prompt is, that one is one that we are doing over in Darvanalee Designs group, which is called DDs Quilting and Crafting group, and we are in the process of, I think we're up to week 4, and we are actually we have like a bingo card there, and it has 12 prompts on it in numerical order, and each week I roll the dice and that's the book, the matching number for the prompt. And so this week we had to read we have to read a book that is a non-fiction book, so self-help or a history book or something along those lines, something that you're interested in, you know, true life stories, all that sort of stuff. So I, as I said, have only read 3 books in the past week, as I've been super busy getting ready to go to retreat and getting some quilts done. I haven't even had time to get my nails done or anything. You know how it is, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and yeah. So if you are new here, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend with me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and again spending a little bit of time with me. So hopefully we'll get some stitching done today, and we'll get some book chat done today. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you're working on or are you reading. And yeah, and let's start talking about some books, I guess. Oh, I should mention that I have the link for the group down below if you want to come over and join our quilting and crafting group, so you can post anything that you're working on, whether it be cross stitch, quilting, any craft that you're working on. There are some rules there to have a look at, nothing too strenuous though, but the link is down below, and yeah, come over and join in the fun. Excuse me. Alright, so this won't be a very long video hopefully today, so I won't keep you too long. As I said, I've only got 3 books to talk about, all of which, no sorry, 2 of which were audio books. One was a Kindle book, one was the prompt for last week, our bingo, which was read a book that was published in 2020, and so I did that. And yeah, I didn't put a Flosstube up on Friday, just time got away from me again, and I didn't really get much stitching done last week, so I just thought, oh, I'll hold it over till this week. So excuse me, I'm just trying to get some project bags and whatnot finished before I go to the retreat, and before I start stitching out my sewing up my Christmas ones and all that sort of stuff. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the books that I read in the last week, and as I said, I've only read 3. The first one that I read was the Jessica Hunt series, and basically we're still continuing on with the story. You know, some events have happened, and you know, we're still waiting to see how much more she's going to develop and all that sort of stuff. As a character, she is getting better. She's starting to recognize her mistakes, which is great, which means that she's growing. you know, as a criminal profiler, she is looking at serial killers and all that sort of stuff. I can't really talk about it too much without giving too much of spoilers away and whatnot. But yeah, there was a typical murder. It was a little bit predictable that, you know, she always ends up in a situation towards the end of the books with the suspects or the person that's the perpetrator of the crime. It is nice to have those books that, you know, just tie up in a nice little bow, and I am liking the fact that, you know, she's chasing serial killers and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of the same stuff that I've talked about in the past. There's been a couple of twists and turns and whatnot, so yeah, I'm looking forward to see how far the author is going to take the story and all the rest of it. I will say, like, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but yeah, a sister has turned up into the story, and the father, and yeah, and it's all sort of happening and all the rest of it. But yeah, it is a good series. I'm actually really enjoying it, and I think the reason I am enjoying it because this is quite a lengthy series. I believe there's 18, I think there's 17 in the series that are published. I will have to double check that, and I keep forgetting to do that, so I will make a note of that. There is, I believe there is 17 published, and there's 2 that are due to be published I think in one at the end of the year and one early next year. So, and that will take us up to 19 in total. So that is quite a substantial amount of books to be reading. And I first come across this series on Kindle, and I believe that the first one is a free one. It was free on Kindle, and however, I did not find it free when I got it. I actually had to pay for it. So whether it was free for the month of October, I'm not too sure. But anyway, that's subsequently where I found it to begin with. So I thought, you know what, this is going to be a great series. And, you know, it does get a little bit boring when you're sitting at the sewing machine, or, you know, even while I'm stitching, I find that my mind drifts a little bit. It's been really good to just have a series that has a little bit of predictability in it. It's nice and easy to just go with the flow and, you know, and just read away. And that way, you know, you're not having to worry about, like with some of the fantasy books, you know, lots of world building, character building and all that sort of stuff. You're sort of just focusing on the one character, and there's all these little subplot lines happening. So I have actually 2 of those series happening at the moment. I'm hoping to find another one because I'm getting close to the end of one of the series, and I'm pretty sure I'll have it finished by the end of the year. So I'm looking for another one for next year that has quite a number of books in it, at least, you know, 10. I think I've actually found a fantasy one that I might be able to have one a week, and I think there was quite a few in that series. I just have to make sure that they are all related to that particular series. It is a fantasy one, so it'll be a little bit different. So yeah, so I'm just sort of using them as a little bit of a, like, productivity, I guess you could say, series. So yeah, and that's, I think, why I'm liking it so much, because it is such a it's sort of really predictable. Not really, but I shouldn't say that, because that just makes it sound like a really boring thing. There's a lot of, there are twists and turns, and you know, you are listening and paying attention to the book, because the simple fact is that you've got this character that is slowly but surely building as a character. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the development and of her character is good, and all the sidelines, and, you know, even the side characters and stuff like that, there's things happening with them as well. So it keeps you interested enough, but you don't have to pay super close attention to the fact that like there's not a huge world being built or anything like that. So the book that I read this week was called The Perfect Lie, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I can't talk too much about it because if I do, I'll end up giving too much away. So I'm trying not to do that, because we don't want to do that for you, because then you might not want to read it. But then again, hey, maybe some people are here for the spoilers. Who knows? All right, so that was that. So there was a couple of twists and turns. As I said, she always thought that she was alone now, and like she didn't have family or anything like that because of what happened to her as a child and all that sort of stuff. But it turns out that she does have a half sister, so it'll be interesting to see how this next storyline is going to develop. And so in the last time I spoke to you, we did talk about that there was some serial killers escaped, and with the help of one of the guards and all the rest of it, well, they are still at large, and so this is where the storyline's sort of going at the moment. So that's not giving too much away. Like that's there's storylines happening now with those serial killers and all the rest of it. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that pans out as well. There was quite a big turn at the end of the book. So, but that's called The Perfect Lie, and that is by Blake Pierce, and it is the Jessica Hunt series of his. He's got quite a few series and all the rest of it. There's quite so this one has got, as I said, it's got quite a few in it, and I think there's another one that's got 15 or 16 in it. So I will suss that out a little bit closer and see whether or not I continue on reading him as a productivity read. So basically what happens is I put it on in the morning when I start work. I start work at 9:30, and it's on in my ear, and I basically just get to quilting and sewing and stitching and all the rest of it. Obviously I don't do that while I'm editing, because I need to listen to what I'm saying and making sure that it's making sense and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so but other than that, it's a really good series. Like, even if you weren't using it for productivity, it's a good series to read. I think you'll really enjoy it. All right, so the next one that so for those that are wondering what I'm doing here, I've just done a waist knot. So that knot is now, so I put it in here, and then I've run along. I've started here, and then I've come up, but stitching up towards it. And I also did the same with this thread, so I ended it here, and then I've run along there. So that's now buried under there, but I'm just going to snip this one because it's just a little bit too long and in the way. And I'll put a couple more stitches, and then when I get really close to it, I will snip that off, and then I don't have to worry about burying my threads later on because they're already done. So that's for those that are wondering what was happening there. All right, so the next one that I've been reading is the Virgin River series. So I'm up to book, I just read Promise Canyon, and oh no, I can't remember I didn't write down what book that was. I think it's book 11. Yes, book 11 I'm up to. Yeah, so book 11 it is. So yeah, and that's called Promise Canyon. Basically this is following the story of Lily and Clay. So Clay is a Native American gentleman that has come to not so much Virgin River, but he's come very close to Virgin River. It's part and parcel of the town. Like, it's pretty close, and he's working for, I've lost my pen. He's working for a gentleman that is an equine vet. So this one is very heavy in about horses and stuff like that, and they find a horse on the side of the road that they name Blue, and which was suffering from colic. So the story has moved into recession. So the area is now in recession. There's lack of employment, all that sort of stuff. So the storyline sort of starts with the horse being the main focus. the fact that the people have just left the horse abandoned. They left food for it, and subsequently it chowed down on its food and ended up with colic, was in a lot of pain. Lily works for a local feed distributor, and she was coming back from the vet's place after delivering the food, and then she had just run into the main male character, which is Clay, and yeah, and basically, you know, thought he was majorly hot and all the rest of it, but her backstory is that she's had a very traumatic experience when she was younger with Native American boy, and basically she's gun shy, basically, so to speak. So she doesn't want to get involved with anybody and all that sort of stuff. And she's sort of brooding over it. Like, I found her character to be a little bit of a whinging bitch, actually. No, not really. She just kept going on about it and all the rest of it. Anyway, she has a friend that basically, in the end, just told her to suck it up and get with the program, and so the story just follows along. And Clay's backstory is that he is divorced and from a very wealthy lady, and he has a son from when he was younger, and he comes to live with him, and it just follows their story of them falling in love, you know, in typical Virgin River style. And there's a couple of other things happening in it as well. One of the characters has passed away and left a lot of money to the town, and left Jack in charge of sorting that out, and subsequently he, you know, holds a town meeting and finds out that the town are just greedy, and so he doesn't, and it's to be spent on the town. It's not to be you know, wasted away or given out as loans or anything like that. So that's a little bit of a plot line happening there. And yeah, so other than that, nothing. Oh, there was another character that came into it towards the end, a young lad, and I'm not too sure where it's going to go, but he doesn't seem to know who his dad is and all the rest of it, and he's sort of looking for him. His mum's I think his mum has passed away, so that's all it's really happened with that. And he was, yeah, we're just starting to find out about him, so I'm guessing that he's going to make a bit more of an appearance in the next couple of books and whatnot. So and there was also with the Roydens, so there's 5 brothers for the Royden family, and one of them had a serious accident, and so there's a bit of a plot line happening there with them as well. Other than that, it was pretty much just focused on the horses. Oh, there was also a stallion that was brought into it, and the main male character, they call him a bit of a horse whisperer because he just connects with the horses and whatnot. And subsequently, the main female character as well, she also has a bit of a connection with horses as well, even though she hasn't been around them very much and in the later part of her life, but as a child she was around them a lot. And yeah, so it just sort of focuses on mostly on their little love story that happens and all the rest of it, and how she's quite gun shy of getting into a relationship, and as I said, a little bit whingy about it. And then her best friend, you know, basically told her to suck it up and get with the program, and, you know, stop whinging about it. It happened ages ago. You don't need to keep going on about it, sort of thing. You know, you need to get over it and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so, which I think is what she needed. She really did need to just let it go. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that one as well. And then for the rest of the week, so yeah, as I said, those 2 are audios, and I've been using them for productivity and all the rest of it. I had a lot of editing and stuff happening last week, and I had a lot of stuff happening with Brendan and his business, and just trying to chase things up and and all the rest of it. So that ate into my stitching time, it ate into my reading time. So it was, in comparison to some of the other weeks that I've had in the last couple of months, I only read 3. So I've been getting between 4 and 5 books each week. So, but I am on track. I've got to read at least 2 books a week to meet my target of 100 books by the end of the year. So that's going really well. And I just ticked over the 78th book that I have read, and I don't put them into my Goodreads until I have finished them. So all the books that have, and if I've got 5 books on the go, or I'm planning to read 5 books for the week, or 4 books or whatever, I will just put them into my reading, and then that way it just makes it super easy to know where I'm at. So yeah, and so they were the audiobooks that I listened to this week. And then I also had our prompt. So I was running a little bit behind on the book that I read last week, which I didn't finish until the Saturday afternoon. So I didn't start this book, which is The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Hamble. I think that was who it was. I don't have my notes with me at the moment. I was pretty slack this week and didn't take notes. So I will definitely get back to notes next week, because it just makes it so much easier to know what I've read and who the authors are and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, subsequently, that was the book that I read, because I needed to read a book that was published in 2020, and it was, I don't know, I wasn't too sure about it at first. Like the publisher's blurb on it was intriguing. I'm just trying to think how I don't want to give too many spoilers away. So basically, the publisher's notes were pretty intriguing. Now, it's set in World War II, in occupied France, and it also flicks back to 2005. So the story starts off with an 86-year-old woman librarian, and she's in the library and here, like in the United States, and she's working with some younger people and whatnot, and there's a newspaper left open to an article about they were looking for an owner of this particular book. It turns out that it was the book that it was her book, or what she considered to be her book, and then it sort of talks about her, standing there going, it can't be, and and because she's 86 and she's working in the library, some of the younger people, or one of the younger people there, is quite condescending and going, oh, do you need to go home? Because she was talking to herself, and and I just thought, that's rude. Like, you can learn so much from this woman. She's 86 years old. Like, be nice. And so what if she's talking to herself? Because you know what? I talk to myself, and sometimes you just need expert advice. Isn't that right? So anyway, she was, she was quite surprised and shocked to see this book that was in the newspaper, and it was in Berlin. So basically, this book was, and I don't think I can't sort of say. Anyway, this book ended up in Berlin from occupied France. So I'm pretty sure you can deduct what happened. And basically, so it sort of started a chain of events of her getting on a plane and going to Berlin. Now, her son doesn't really know anything about her past. He just sees her as his mum and, someone that is, there and just a housewife, and someone that works in a library, but doesn't actually know her backstory. So once that they've established that the son doesn't know anything about her backstory, he thinks that she's lost the plot because she's getting on a plane to go to Berlin at the drop of a hat. He's very busy and all the rest of it, and so basically it then sort of starts to tell her story from when she was younger. So then it flicks to World War II, and I think it was 1942 that it spans over a couple of years, about an 18-month period, and it tells the story of how she ended up, with this book. essentially. And it's got, obviously it's called The Book of Lost Names, and how the book came to be, and why it was started and all the rest of it. So once it starts talking about that, and it flicks over or flicks back to her past, we then are seeing the world through her eyes at the age of 25, I think she was in the book, and basically in occupied France, and she is Jewish. So you know that it's going to be talking about the Germans and you know, that time of the Holocaust, and you know, what happened, and all the rest of it. It has a love story in it. It has a betrayal in it. It has also a lost love story in it as well. So yeah, and it just, the people that she met, and how she ended up doing what she was doing. She was working in a library in occupied oh no, she was a student, sorry, in occupied France, and she spent a lot of time at her favourite place, which was a library. And you know, it has a story of her mum and her father, and all the things that go with it, and how, as I said, how this book came to be and why it came to be. And yeah, so it was a really good book. In some cases, you know, it was a little bit you know, it was a little bit sad because of the events that were happening. It wasn't a little bit, it was a lot sad. You know, like people being taken, and you know, and just how, yeah, I don't really read a lot about that sort of era and stuff like that. So it was very much a new sort of era to be reading about and all the rest of it. And to be honest, I'm probably quite ignorant when it comes to the things that happened at that time. Like, I know it all happened, and I know it was horrific and all that sort of stuff because I've learned about it in school, but I haven't like fully studied that era and all that sort of stuff. And it was, you know, just the resistance and all that sort of thing, and it sort of got me intrigued about what they were talking about, and just the things that they had to go through, and all that sort of stuff. It was just quite amazing. And I think I spoke about this before. There's two books that I want to get, and I'm sort of spewing I didn't pick them up now, but I'm definitely going to get on to seeing if they're down here at Big W. And that was the Tattooists of Auschwitz and the Dressmakers, I think it was, of Auschwitz. So I'm going to actually go and get those books, because this book has actually, you know, made me think I should have picked them up, because I was interested and I picked them up. But when I'm with my husband, I don't like to buy books because he gives me that look of like, do you really need that? And so I didn't pick it up. So I'm actually going to track them down. I think I've seen the tattoo one down here at Kingaroy, but I haven't seen the other one. So I'll jump on the Dimmicks and get the other one. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. As I said, there was a couple of times that I actually did cry. So to me, if a book can make you cry, then, you know, it's a good book. You know, and and the betrayal that was in it as well, didn't see that coming. It was just, yeah, and how her mum was just trying to guilt her, even though she was doing this amazing thing and for her people. You know, her mum was still guilting her, and the struggle and turmoil that she was dealing with. And, you know, it sort of got me to thinking of how people can manipulate and stop some amazing things from happening just through the act of making people feel guilty and that sort of stuff. So you know, and just the struggles that they had of you know, having food and you know, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you know, you could imagine that, having not lived through a war or anything like that, I can only imagine how horrific it is, and all that sort of stuff. And you can only go on what someone tells you. But with this book, it actually and as I said, I haven't read a lot about that sort of stuff, and it's just because I haven't read a lot lately in the last few years and all that sort of stuff, but it's really making me want to read more of those books and more non-fiction books from that sort of era, because, you know, I don't have any family that I could talk to about that sort of stuff, where, you know, that were involved in it or anything like that. So it's yeah, it makes it quite hard to learn about, like, the hardships of it. So you've got to do it through books. So I've sort of made a note. I've made a note in my to buy books list to get those 2 books, so I can read a little bit more about it and be less ignorant about what happened to the Jewish people and about that era in our history. So I think if you like that sort of book, you will love this book as well. I mean, quite honestly, I think everybody would love reading this book. It's not graphic about the, like, what happened in the camps and all the rest of it. This is more about the French resistance, the underground, and how she came to be there and why she was there. But there is the undertones of, you know, horrific things happening and stuff like that. It's not a graphic book as such about what happened in that era, but it has given me enough of a it sparked an interest now to go and read and find out more about that. Most definitely. That's just, I think it's we owe it to these people that lost their lives and all the rest of it to remember what happened to them, and you know, and even the people that didn't lose their lives, the subsequent guilt that they lived with, and to the people that weren't sent off to concentration camps or anything like that, but the French people that, you know, fought against the Germans and in the resistance or the underground or whatever you want to call it, to help the Jewish people, and because they could see that it was wrong, you know. And they sort of also touched a little bit on the whole, you know, there was a situation there where there was someone from Germany that was helping them as well. You know, and it sort of touched on some of the alliances that were made with Germany and other countries and stuff like that. So and which led me to sort of believe that these countries knew that what the Germans were doing were wrong, or the Nazis were doing wrong. What they were doing was a wrong thing to be doing, because they were trying to protect their citizens that were Jewish and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot of little interesting things that make me think, oh, interesting, like I would like to learn more about that and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed the book. Now it is, you know, it is a novel, and all the rest of it. It's not based on a true story, although the premise behind it is based on facts that have happened in our history. So yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. As I said, it did make me cry. I actually sat up till 2 o'clock in the morning the other day to finish it, which doesn't really make for good productivity the next day, but I'd put my back out as well that day, and I just thought, you know what, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't get comfortable, so I just thought, well, instead of laying here tossing and turning, I'm going to read the book, and I ended up finishing it. So I was pretty happy I finished that on Thursday. So yeah, that is all the books that I've read this week. Not too much in the way of reading. As I said, I have been busy doing other stuff. Sometimes life gets in the way, as life is going to get in the way in this coming week, because I have a retreat at the end of the week. I'm going away for 3 days. I am so looking forward to going away. I need a bit of a break from this house. So I won't be getting as many books read, probably only a couple. I will be taking away my books with a book with me to read at night. I have read every day for the month of October, even if it's only been, you know, 10 pages or whatever at the end of the day. I try to start my day and finish my day with a book. Sometimes I don't start my day with a book, but I always finish my day with a book, and I have done that every day this month, which has been absolutely good and absolutely fabulous. And I actually did a tally yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday I did a tally and I have read 17 books for the month of October. And I still have the ring and 2 prompts for the bingo. I've got 2 prompts left for the bingo. I think we've got left. So yeah, we just rolled one for Saturday just gone. So I'm still reading that, and then I've got a roll next Saturday, which I'll do before I go, but I'll just schedule it up. So yeah, so I've got to finish, which is what's it called? It is called To Find Joy at Work or something like that. It's a non-fiction one, and then I'll have a roll for next week. So those 2 will, but that will probably go over into November next week's one because it's on the 30th that it gets rolled. And I've still got the ring, so I've got to finish the ring this week, and I've also got to finish Joe Hill's book. I think it's called NOS 42 something, A42. It's a horror, so I've still got those 2 classics to worry about, so I should have them finished. So I'm hoping to have 20 to 21 books by the end of October read, which that is almost a book a day. That is not too shabby at all. But as I said, that's all I've read this week, and I'm pretty much done now. So as I said, not a long one today, but I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much to Chrissy Stevens for the lovely buy me a coffee that she did. She brought me a couple of coffees, so thank you so much for that. And anybody else that would like to buy me a coffee or leave a tip in the tip jar, as I call it, you can see that rolling across the screen right now. The link is down underneath this video, and you can just click on that and follow the prompts, and you can make a donation. All the money that goes to into that goes back towards the channel for giveaways or things that I need to buy for the channel, such as equipment and stuff like that. But I try, most of it goes back towards giveaways. All right, so if you have liked this video today, don't forget to hit the thumbs up down below, and also if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you won't miss out on any future posts. As I said, it wasn't going to be a very long one today, although still 40 minutes is almost 40 minutes is still quite lengthy. But thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me. I hope that you've enjoyed my video today, and I will see you all again in 2 weeks maybe. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do an update next week because, as I said, I am away for a retreat for 3 days, but I might be able to squeeze it in. Never know. I'll take my little tripod with me, and I might just do my opening and more closing outside away from the retreat, and then do a voiceover of the books that I read. But anyway, have a great week everybody, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.